Hello and welcome to episode 120 of our SAP on Azure video podcast. Today is November 23rd, and together with Robert and Goran, we're here to talk about anything related to SAP and Microsoft. Hello, everyone. So it has been quite some time that we last talked about backup. Back in 2021, we had Kartik on the show, and he had introduced us to the, at that time, new Azure Backup for SAP HANA solutions. So backup and restore is always very important, and having a fully managed service on Azure certainly is a huge benefit. I actually see more and more questions also coming up from customers at the moment around ransomware protection and topics around this. Since last time we had quite a long time since we last talked about this, and there were so many changes. I'm really happy to have Kartik back on the show, who will talk about the latest features, show us a little things that has happened in the meantime, and also before we hand over to him, let's actually take a quick look at some of the news from this week. And actually, I want to start with another blog post from Cameron on SAP on Oracle as ASM, using the automatic storage management from Oracle. And for me, I mean, this is again a nice blog post where he really outlines what you need to set up and what are things that you should actually configure and stuff like that. For me, it's just another testament or a use case displaying that this combination of SAP on Azure, on Oracle, is something that we still see with a lot of customers. That is still a lot of customers that are running SAP on Oracle on premises. Now they migrate to Azure, and they need or want to keep this setup for some time. So it's really amazing what we are all doing, and obviously also seeing all these customers that are really adopting SAP on Oracle on Azure in this case. And another blog post on integration, actually. Some of you might know SAP Enable Now. If not, I've actually also put in a link here that talks about SAP Enable Now. There's a nice quick video. And I've recently worked with a few customers who have implemented SAP Enable Now. It's basically, for example, one tool that can really help you to create tutorials, that can help you to guide users who are struggling with new products or something like that. So it's a really nice tool that allows you to help your employees to work with different enterprise tools. So it's an enterprise learning tool. So it's a really nice functionality, and it can also integrate with Azure Active Directory for the authentication. Now, apparently there are still some gaps to synchronize users from SAP Enable Now with Azure Active Directory, and here Anton Mavrin has created a nice script that allows you to deactivate users. Let's say someone leaves the company and the user is deactivated in Azure Active Directory, then obviously you now also want to deactivate the user in SAP Enable Now. And that's something that you can do with this script. So I thought if you're using SAP Enable Now, that can be a nice scenario. Now, one last topic that I want to highlight is we have SAP has a new customer story about Microsoft and about how Microsoft is using actually SuccessFactors. So that I just did I'm just doing my Connect. So this half-year engagement that we're doing with Microsoft to provide feedback, to look at the direction, and we are doing this with SuccessFactors. So in this SuccessFactors, SAP talks about what they have done with us, how Microsoft is actually using SuccessFactors in different ways, how we've rolled it out, the improvement. So it's a nice look from SAP on Microsoft, how we are actually using SuccessFactors. And actually, speaking of SuccessFactors, one last thing, again, since this is something that I was currently working on with a few customers, is this integration of SuccessFactors and Azure Active Directory. So I think we talked about this some time ago. We had Jitan on the show to talk about the integration, but just a quick refresher, obviously. With SuccessFactors, we see this very often as the world of HR, where you really have your employee data in there, and Azure Active Directory as the world of IT, where you keep your login authentic credentials, basically, where you have email addresses stored and stuff like that. And now in a lot of companies, there's a need to synchronize this data. And with SAP, with Microsoft and several partners, we had created this design document on how to best integrate SuccessFactors with Azure Active Directory. And if you're working on one of these projects, I can definitely recommend to check out this document. It's a fairly long and detailed document that really outlines the best practices and recommendations on how to connect your SuccessFactors system to Azure Active Directory. So with this very, very quick look at this week, I actually already want to hand over to Kartik. So Kartik, maybe for those of our viewers and listeners who have not yet seen you on the first episode where we had you, maybe you can quickly introduce yourself, and then I'm really looking forward to your presentation and demos.
Thanks, Holger, for the fantastic podcast series, first of all, to give such a beautiful way of compiling all what Azure is doing for SAP space. So again, good to be on the show. Thanks for the welcome. And my name is Kartik. I am a senior program manager from Azure Backup and Site Recovery team, specifically handling database backups and DRs. So last time, I think we did talk about Azure Backup Service as an overall, what value adds it gives to the customer, the architecture, especially for database streaming backups, and in general, the areas that it focuses on for customer value adds. So I think this time we'll add on top of it. We do a specific recap, a small recap for customers who have joined new to understand where are they coming from. And then we will focus on the updates from them. And I think this time, as you mentioned, we are not just discussing the core database backup and restore scenarios, which are obviously crucial, but we go beyond and touch other areas, other important areas, especially for databases, which is cost and security. And then we'll end the show with a little bit of what's in it, in what's new, what's upcoming, so that the video users will know where are we headed to in terms of BCDR solution for databases.
Perfect. I'm really looking forward to it, and especially since it's so amazing how many new features were introduced in the meantime, and the breadth of topics that you're covering now. And that is for me actually something, if I look at Azure in general, it's just so amazing of all the new functionalities that are constantly being added to services. So I'm really looking forward to what you can show us on the broader backup topic.
Great, thank you. So let me share my screen to start the presentation. I have also prepared a demo environment, a video, which I'll talk through. So let me know if you're able to see my screen. So again, good to be back. It's an update on the previous introduction series that we had for Azure Backup. So what I'll do is this is an agenda slide where, as I mentioned, I'll first recap what we talked about last time. That will give you a context. And then we focus updates on key areas. In workload protection, we are focusing on what we have added for SAP HANA from last time. And in that, I will try to present demos for key important features. And then we also cover areas of cost optimization and protection against ransomware as well, and end the presentation with a roadmap discussion. So let's go ahead. Again, to summarize, this is a familiar slide for Azure Backup users. To give a recap, we basically work at three layers. One is we work deeply with workloads to give you native workload integration for both on-premises and on Azure resources and Azure workloads as well. So you can see the breadth that we cover in terms of backup support, right? On-premises servers, VMs, databases within VMs, file servers, and we have even ventured into the pass protection space with PostgreSQL and then blobs and disks. So, that's the layer of workload support. The data that is being generated from these data sources, the backup data, will be then stored in Azure Backup Managed Storage. I think this is one key thing that we'll kind of focus later on, that storage is not directly accessible for the user. So in effect, it gives you a base offline capability as well. On top of it, just being a backup storage, we actually are scalable and durable, which means you don't have to worry about when to scale, how much to scale based on your backup sizes. We also have availability. We have a story if something fails, if a regional failure happens, what happens to my backups? We have the redundancy story there. We have access TS mechanism to give you a cost balanced performance tiers, which means snapshots for instant restores, a standard tier which is less costlier but gives you a minimum performance, and then the archive tier for the best cost optimization for long-term retention. And then we have built-in security, which we'll deep dive later on. But just to give a granular overview of what we offer RBAC protection, which means an authorization who can access backups. You can define roles and limit people, and then you can encrypt your data so that it is safe at rest. Soft delete, it's a use case against accidental deletion, and immutability. We'll talk about all these enhanced features later on deeply in our security section. And then you're talking about at-scale management. You have native workload integration, generating backups, storing in Azure Backup managed storage, which is scalable and durable. But imagine if you have an estate that scales across subscriptions and tenants and regions. You're a global corporate company or a partner who's handling multiple customers. We need scale management. So in that, we focus on areas of governance, like how to make sure that key production resources are backed up. You can use Azure policy for it. How to get and retrieve data at scale. You can use Azure Resource Graph. How to troubleshoot and monitor, right? You can use, we are deep integrated with Azure Monitor so that you don't have to worry about notification channels. Azure Monitor already gives you a very huge repertoire of notification channels, which we can use for Azure Backup as well. So it's an integrated solution. And then we have automation capabilities, Portal, PowerShell, SDK, CLIs automatically coming up. The policies will make you easy to just set a policy and forget about backup scheduling. And then on top of it, we have a backup center. Just come there and just becomes one landing page for doing everything, right? And we also have reporting and monitoring section. So this is a 3-layered value add overview of what we give in Azure Backup. So with that, I think I'll just move on to the focused areas, which means we'll start with what do we have offered for workload protection.
Just before you go there, I think, and thank you, I think this is a fantastic overview, and it's really amazing, like all these different areas that we're focusing on, that we're really making sure that the backup is working. And for me, actually, it was a great reminder, actually, when you started at the beginning, I actually have to admit, I had forgotten that Azure Backup also works for on-premise environments. So where I'm not yet in the cloud, maybe I have not yet moved my virtual machines to Azure, but I can still use Azure Backup for my on-premises environments. And I still remember, actually, that is something that I saw with a lot of customers several years ago to just get started, where they were not yet ready to move their virtual machines to Azure, but they already said, well, look, but I want to benefit from the scalability, from the cross-regional replications that I have with backup. So I'll use Azure Backup to also back up my on-premises environments. So that was a good reminder for me, actually. Thank you.
Yes, and in the context, probably I want to add, maybe this is a good point that you brought up, which I want to cover in the context of on-premises. Is we do have Azure Arc offering that is specially built for on-premises. So I want to call out here that while we are in working with our team to understand the on-premise backup scenario, how do we enhance what we have today in the light of Arc offering? I want to call out here for customers and end users and field to give us more feedback about how do they want to view that. I think that can be a very valuable feedback that will definitely help us cover the on-premise scenario much more richer way in the context of native Azure integration with services like Arc. How should an Arc-enabled Azure Backup look like? What are the use cases and scenarios? How it differs from what we have today? That feedback, I think I would use this forum to say, hey, please go ahead and give us that feedback, and that will help us prioritize the work and even expand the offering to the on-premises in a much better way as well.
Perfect. Yeah.
Great. So with that, I think I will start to deep dive into the workload protection, especially in this context. It's more of a database protection. So I think we already have covered last time how do we offer a stream-based backup solution for SQL and HANA, which gives you an RPO of 15-minute log backups, right? It gives you a database integrated solution, so you don't have to worry about the recoverability aspect of it. Now, being it's a pure stream-based solution, you have limits until which you can protect a medium to large size database. The larger the database size grows, you have impact in terms of resources, which is network resources. The stream takes longer to go to a backup vault, and then you're also using IOPS of the underlying storage.
Yeah.
The best way to overcome this scenario is using snapshots, an add-on. So what it is, HANA already offers snapshot at an instance level. So what we are working here is give you a policy which is weekly fulls and daily locks for streaming for databases, but then snapshot the HANA instance daily, right? Just to kind of remind you, SAP HANA has some recommendations when you involve the snapshot capabilities, which is you have to have a weekly full, to make sure that the backup data is recoverable. And you can only do an instance level snapshot. There is no database level snapshot. So combine both of them, and here is what we give you to just outline what we offer is we offer an integrated snapshot and streaming service, backup service, which gives you an instant backup and instant restore. Instant backup in the sense that the backup gets completed within seconds. The HANA database is frozen only for seconds. And this is perfect for large to very large databases. And just kind of outline, these are the storage that we are talking to is managed disks, and these are managed disk incremental backups, which means they're cost efficient as well. Right? You don't have to worry about, hey, my database is 20 TB, will it be 20 TB every time? No, it's 20 TB first, but then it's always a churn later. It's an incremental snapshot. And then you don't have to worry about how do I combine log, point in time, restore over snapshot. There is a snapshot experience which is specific to storage, right? Depending on storage, your snapshot experience usually varies, but then we are all bringing in one single solution. So this will actually have a demo and to do that. This is what we have. This is released public preview in Ignite. So I would encourage users to please go ahead and use it and give us feedback regarding experience, a call for usage. And then basically I'll quickly give you an overview of what else did we do for SAP HANA. One of the key complaints earlier was, hey, my production databases employ HANA System Replication for HA and DR, right? Especially for HA scenario, when a failover happens, in the earlier backup story, you had to manually intervene because both the nodes, primary and secondary, were like the standalone nodes. So whenever a failover happens, it's almost like a new backup chain that starts, and that requires manual intervention. That was a key complaint. Hey, a failover is meant to be automatic and continuous. That's what we heard about it. So now we have supporting SAP HANA System Replication in such a way that if a failover happens, the backups start on the new primary instantly. There is no need of any manual intervention, no need of any manual registration. And one more area which I want to highlight is there is no mandatory full backup after every takeover. In the earlier state, when a failover happens, there is a gap, for the same machine in terms of backups, and hence we used to take a full backup. Now think of it like there is a primary node and secondary node, but there is a singular data source. So whenever a failover happens, the chain continues. There is no mandatory full backup. There is no need of manual intervention. And then the restores are simple. You just have one single chain. You don't have to remember which was my primary node for my point of time recovery. So this is something that we are offering. We released public preview in Ignite as well. So these two are the big features. We also have a few other smaller features which we'll outline later, but these are just what I want to call as a public preview features. Just let me go ahead and start showing you how HANA Snapshot demo solution works. So let me know. I'm playing a video, by the way, which showcases the experience, and I will talk through that.
Yeah, perfect.
Are you able to see the video?
Yes, now I can see it. Yes.
Okay. Okay, here we start with basically the experience for SAP HANA and Azure VM that we have. So here you can see there is an option to specify snapshot backup, right? That's a separate flow because it's an instance level backup. And you can see there is a policy. The policy tells you how frequently you can take backups, snapshot backups, how long to retain each of them. Here it can go until 30 days. And the additional thing here is we as an Azure Backup service will also store those snapshots in the snapshot resource group. And then we need permissions. We need permissions to do all this, permissions to take snapshots, permissions to place them in the user specified resource group. And we are using the MSI, the managed system identity, to get those permissions. So you can see that if I select a policy, that policy has an MSI noted, right? This is again a user given MSI along with all the values. So it retains a similar flow what we have for streaming backups. In streaming, you select a policy, select databases to be protected, and then you enable backup. Similarly, for HANA instance, you select the starting point as HANA instance, you create a policy, and then you click add here. Here you can see that there's a list of HANA instances, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately you can see that I don't have my backup readiness in terms of permissions, right? All I need to do is just select and then click assign missing roles, right?
That's
what this will
really
do,
cool.
Yeah, you do not have to remember which role to assign it, what scope, etc. We are just put it all everything in one single place and doing it for you, right? For that particular machine. So you do that. Once you do, the portal does the necessary job of assigning permissions and then checking. You can see that backup readiness will turn into green once the role assignment is verified and done and verified.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no extra information to be remembered by the end user, right? Again, here we are reusing the concepts of Azure in terms of permission management. So managed system identity, a user managed identity is what we are using, so that you can actually reuse that for later backups. Here you can see it is turned into success. I click enable backup, and that's it. Not a drastic change. It is just an add-on to what you already have for database backups. Once you configure database backup and HANA instance backups this way, you can just go to the backup item section of the Vault, and then you can see that once you click the SAP HANA, you can see now at the bottom, right, there is a backup item that says snapshots.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is how to differentiate the the snapshot-based item, because it can have the same SID, right?
Yeah.
So it is marked as snapshot, and then you go details. I can quickly take an ad hoc snapshot, right? You can see I click backup now. I immediately click snapshot. You can have a custom retention. This triggered snapshot for me, just like a normal ad hoc backup does, right? I can go just to the backup jobs page also, and here I'm going just to show you how soon you can take a snapshot backup, how the backup is instant, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you click on view details, it also shows you the duration. You can see that once the backup job is completed, I'll show you how much time it takes to complete. It takes usually around 2 to 3 minutes. But if you go to HANA Studio and actually verify, the actual time that HANA is frozen is around 10 to 15 seconds, not more than that. This entire 3 minutes is pre and post. Just make sure that all the SSO information is sent to the recovery services vault. It is joined to the other log backups, etc. Those are all the pre-posts. From a user perspective, HANA is frozen just for 10-15 seconds, not more than that. So now you go back and then see what you have for in terms of restore. I have a snapshot backup item. I go there, and then I can see that the backups are appearing, right? I quickly click restore, and here you can see that I already have an experience to start, copying, right? I mean, one of the key scenarios is system refresh, right? I want a production copy to be stored on a dev machine instantly. What you select the dev machine as a target, right? Select select the snapshot point, right? Same permissions. We need, again, I think MSI to assign permissions even during restore. Same experience exists here. In case of you don't have it, you have assign missing roles. If you have everything already, it just clicks restore, right? I just click restore, and first step is to take all that snapshot, attach it to the dev machine so that my snapshot is available there for restore. Okay. Let the job be completed. I think just to kind of highlight, because it's a backup at an instance level and log backups happen at a database level, you need 2 steps. First, restore the instance, right? And then apply logs on top of it. So here in the screen, you can see that the restore also completed within 3 minutes. It usually takes fast. It's fast. So now I have completed the snapshot. Now for that particular SID, I go to the system DB because I want to copy the system DB now on top of snapshot. This is a regular experience. I select the point in time restore. It's just 10 minutes ago. So I click restore, and here is the new option that we have, restore logs over snapshot, right? Now I select the same target machine, right, that I just restored to. You can see that the graph, of the, it's a green graph showing you the log point in time. Just want to highlight one thing. This graph is limited to the logs that can be restored after the snapshot point in time that you selected earlier, right? This means that we are not giving an option to, by mistake, choose an earlier log point in time and shoot yourself in the foot.
Yes, yeah.
So this is a neat filter that will not allow you to do that. So these points are eligible points to be applied on top of snapshot restore time. Okay, so just go ahead, select the log point in time, and I click restore. That's it. Nothing else. You don't have to worry about all complexities of HANA, command line, etc., etc. I just do that, right? So what's happening now is on top of snapshot, I am restoring my system database to the desired point in time.
Cool.
Right? You can see that there's a restore job that's workload name is system DB, right? Once that is done, I just want to again highlight one fact. Once system DB is restored, there are few steps that HANA expects because system DB overrides even the user configurations, right? So you have to log into the machine and then do a user reset. This is generic expectation with any system DB restore, right? Not just Azure Backup. If you restore the system DB, you have to go and basically reset the user credentials, right? Because the user credentials from primary are in the primary node, or sorry, in the HANA node are being overridden with the latest system DB or whatever you have restored to, right? So that is done. Now I go into the target machine where I just restored the system DB, right? It is completed. And then I run the pre-registration script once more. What this does, this will reset the user credentials on the target machine. Now just go back to the backup items, select the tenant DBs now. We did just system DB, select the relevant tenant DB, then repeat the process, right? Just select the tenant DB, again restore logs over snapshot, and then select the desired point, just restore, wait for the restore logs over snapshot, select the same target machine, and then just select the point in time of the tenant DB that you want to be restored to after the snapshot, and then click OK. Right here you can see again the same graph applies, and that's it. You don't have to remember all the complex stuff. We made it integrated solution to get point in time restore over logs, even for system DB and tenant DB. Here, just want to tell again, HANA recommends to restore every database if you're using snapshot-based backup. So just please take care to just do all tenant DB restores. And this is how this solution works, right?
Very
a
nice,
simple solution which involves simplification of permissions management, right? You don't have to worry about all that. Just have an MSI, let the portal and the product do its magic or assign the right permissions, do a backup, instant backup, and instant restore, logs point in time over snapshot. Just remind yourself that after system DB gets restored, you just need to run the pre-registration script to reset the user credentials. That's it.
Cool. Very nice.
So this is what we have for HANA snapshot demo. Again, I encourage users to, it's public preview. There is no filtering or whitelisting required. Please go ahead, test this out, give us feedback, and accelerate our journey to GA. The more feedback we have, the faster we can go GA.
Of course, yes. Cool.
Okay, so now I will resume in terms of talking about HSR, the support for HANA System Replication. Let me know just when you're able to see my screen.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, I just want to highlight here in terms of support for HANA System Replication. When you compare a protection of a database which is standalone versus a database which has HANA System Replication enabled, there is no difference, right, in experience. There is, however, a slight difference in pre-backup, right? So just to kind of outline, for all SAP HANA database backups, we have this requirement of running the pre-registration script for all databases. What the script does, it basically sets up the database for backup. It gives the users the right credentials. It basically does credential management for you, right? So that we have a user which has minimum privileges to connect to HANA database and perform backup and restore. It makes sure it also checks whether all the other support metrics is checked in terms of OS version, HANA version, their connectivity. It does a lot to make sure that the database is ready for backup, right? That's where a small difference is there when you're comparing the experience for HANA standalone versus a database with HANA System Replication data, right? So we have a separate article here, just to let you know. In this terms TOC, under SAP HANA Database Azure Backup, we have database backups, we have HANA System Replication Enable Database Backups, a separate backup just to make sure that it's clear. So to highlight the area where the pre-registration script is different is, number one, these are the key, how should I put, principles that is driving the difference. One principle is when a failover happens, all the user information is replicated, but the HDB user store is not replicated. Because we are using the keys in HDB user store to connect to the HANA, we need some extra setup here, right? So what do we recommend? What we recommend is have a user with the same name and password on both the nodes. Create keys for users in both the nodes, and tell the registration script to use that user. So that whenever a failover happens, I will start using the new HDB user store key, but because I have the same username and password, the same key, I'm not breaking the connection, right? That's the first recommendation. So the user has to do that. It has to create a user with the same username and password on both the nodes. And we have a parameter called -bk, which is a custom backup key. That user parameter, and then specify your key. So number one, create a user with the same username and password on both the nodes. Create a key for that user in HDB user store, and give us that key with this parameter called -backup key. This is the difference. The second difference is we also want to have an identification for HANA System Replication, right? Because it's a distributed system in terms of physical nodes, but we are talking about backups and recovery. You're talking about one replication group, right? It's a one setup, right? So HANA by default doesn't have a unique ID for HSR, but we need that so that in portal, etc., you see that in a grouped way. So we are asking the user to generate, or rather to give us one unique value, right? And then supply it to the pre-registration script, which is -HN, HSR unique value. Basically, we have some recommendations for you in terms of the format of the ID. To make it unique, we are mandating it to make it alphanumeric, at least one digit, one lowercase and one uppercase, and with a length. This is just to make sure that it is unique. So what you have to do in the primary key, run the pre-registration script with this -backup key, with the custom backup key name, and then -HSR unique value with that unique value. That's it. That's the change. Secondary note, however, I think just want to highlight, apart from running the key with these two parameters mentioned earlier, unfortunately, I can't connect to the HANA secondary node myself to detect the port number. So now I have to give me a port number specific to the secondary node. So again, to recap, on HANA primary node, run the pre-registration script with two parameters, -backup key and -HSR unique value. On the secondary node, run the pre-registration script with three parameters, -backup key, -HANA, -HN, which is unique value for HSR, the same unique name value, and then a port number. That's it. Other than this, the rest of the experience in the portal is exactly the same.
It's the same. Okay.
Same database. You will see it as HANA. Whatever you specify here, you'll be able to see in the portal too, so that you can correlate.
Understood.
That's it. That's it. Actually, in terms of that experience, that's it. But just want to highlight again the value adds, right? And this is more in terms of the runtime, scenarios. Whenever a failover happens, you don't have to intervene. backups will start to generate and continue on the primary backup node, right? During restore, I think the only thing that we may want to take care of is, so we have something called as original location recovery, alternate location recovery, and restore files, etc. Right? These are the existing options. The only thing to take care here is original location recovery means replacing the original database on the original server, right? But because this is a distributed machine where the database is not on a single server, right? It can be on any server in the group, right? So original location recovery is not applicable. You just have to go to the alternate location, select the right physical node, and just do a restore.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the key. That's why I'm not highlighting the demo part, because it's just the same, right?
No, makes sense. Yeah.
Just to again highlight here one SAP specification, which is you can't restore to a HANA System Replication enabled cluster, right? Basically, you can backup from HSR, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you select a target machine, though, that machine should be standalone.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it. This is an SAP recommendation, again, not managed by Azure Backup. As long as the target machine is in standalone, just select the target machine from alternate location recovery and continue. That's it. So these are two big features that we announced in Ignite for HANA. Again,
nice.
A call to use it. This is publicly available, public preview, no whitelisting required. With these changes, please go ahead and use the solution and give us feedback and accelerate our journey to GA.
Perfect. And it is in public preview, so I can just go in there and test it out.
Oh, yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Okay. So now, having talked about HANA backups, I think I'll quickly go through the other areas, I think, which are important areas, right?
Yes.
Just again, reverting to the PowerPoint presentation. Cost optimization area, right?
Yes.
In Azure Backup, because I know databases are huge data generators, so there will be some concern with the end users as to how to optimize or how to reduce storage costs, backup cost for databases. So in this slide, I just, you can see that there are two groups, which is how to plan your costs in a better way and how to optimize that. So in the plan, I think I will welcome again the users to take note of the estimate that we have prepared. A link is given here. We have given you a detailed pricing calculator to just let you know how much it will cost to using our service, so that you know what you are into, right? And it has combinations there so that you can even change those combinations, like daily full plus log. This is the cost. Weekly full plus daily incremental plus log. This is the cost. You can quickly change those combinations and get an idea of what you are into, right? So I would encourage you to use that, and it is always updated. For example, last time when we released archive support, we also updated this pricing cost calculator to have archive support as well.
Cool. Yeah.
So go ahead and use it. And the big thing that I want is to know is in Ignite, before Ignite, I think we announced reserved capacity for backup storage, which means we'll go a little bit deeper dive into another slide. But just the essence is, if you're able to commit to an amount of storage, you'll be able to get a certain amount of discount. And this will be useful for database users, especially because we know that we generate a lot of data.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of optimization, I think I would encourage users to know that we have enabled intelligent tiering for archive for LTR data. It's generally available. What it means: earlier we released archive for long-term retention, but that was at a recovery point. You have to go to the recovery point and then move it manually to archive. Right here in the policy, we are now giving an option where you can always say a certain future backup is meant for long-term, automatically archiving.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it becomes a part of policy. How in the policy we tell you generate these backups at a specified future point in time, you can also tell archive this particular future point in time backup.
Yeah.
So that's available, again, generally available for both VMs and all databases, including SQL and HANA. Right. Beyond that, we also are giving you reports to let you know your past usage. You understand what are you getting out of it, understand the usage, understand the cost. Especially there's a cost tab there that will give you a highlight of how much size and how much cost you have.
Yeah.
And then we also are asking you to please check about are you protecting the right data sources or not, right? Don't just fire and forget. It's a good periodical cleanup policy that will make sure that if something is deleted at the source, let's go ahead and then make sure that the database backups are also deleted if not required, right? So that's saving on cost. Choose the right storage redundancy. LRS, GRS, zonal redundancy, global redundancy, and RAGRS. We have multiple options. Please choose the right one. Because once you choose it and once the backup starts coming, you can't change it. So make sure you know that what to choose at the beginning. And again, for database backups, especially, I want to call out, hey, use optimized policy. The difference between using a policy which is daily fulls plus logs against weekly fulls plus daily incrementals is enormous, right? So make sure you know that and use a pricing calculator to know the difference and then choose the right policy, right? So quickly going through talking about reserve capacity again. If you are able to commit to 100 TB per month, you will be able to get up to 24%, which is 1 year 12%, 3 year 20%. This is just one slide overview of what you will get at a subscription level or multiple subscriptions and lower costs.
Nice. Yeah.
This is in similar lines to what Azure Storage offers. It's nothing new, but it's specific to backup storage.
Cool. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I can also use this now or apply this now for Azure Backup storage, and then with the appropriate discounts. Yeah.
Great. Nice. Now I think we'll move on to ransomware, which is I think one of the most awaited areas here. So I think I just want to give an outline. We have earlier supplied soft delete and multi-user authentication earlier. And I think the beginning slide, we have also given you the other controls such as private endpoints for secure networks and an RBAC. Here, I think we'll focus on what else are we doing here new, especially in the context of ransomware. So earlier, we had soft delete for accidental data protection, but you could always disable it. And the retention period is also fixed. Now we are coming up with this additional way of customizing it so that you can choose, you can have a larger safety net. Right? I can increase 3 days and then, okay, that means my accidental backups, deletions within the last 30 days are covered. Right? And if you're also worried about somebody disabling it, we now are introducing an always on soft delete, which essentially means it's an irreversible change. I cannot disable soft delete on this vault. So now there's an always on soft delete, which you can use for production vaults. So this is what we call as enhanced soft delete. This is in limited preview we are now in Ignite. Cool. So this is over and above what we have already offered in soft delete.
Yeah.
And then I think this is something new. We had earlier given you multi-user authentication, where the whole point was that for certain privileged operations, a single user can't execute. You need multi-users to authorize and allow you to complete that operation. Now, while that is there are scenarios where you may want to think ahead and say, hey, in that scenario, for example, I only have one tenant. I do not have a security admin and a backup admin separate. I just have one tenant, I'm a single user, right? I'm the god. How do I protect myself against myself, right? So in that sense, immutability becomes a good option where once you set, the backup is not deleted ad hoc. It will always be retained as per policy. So in a vault, if you are enabling immutability, the definition is you are assigning a backup policy. The data once coming into this vault will be deleted only as per policy. You can't delete data, you can't stop protection.
So and this exactly means if I have some ransomware attack that tries to delete it now, well, it will not be possible because it's only being allowed to be deleted according to the policy that I had previously set.
Yes. So again, I think I know comparisons will come with Azure Storage, where Azure Storage also offers data level immutability. Just want to highlight why we took this approach as against that, right? Because as I said, we have managed storage. You can't access our storage directly. It's behind Azure Vault. So first, we want to protect Azure Vault management operations using immutability so that certain operations are not allowed at all, and then think about the data level immutability. So this is management level immutability, which I think I just mentioned. Any operation that leads to the deletion of backup vault is disabled. So that's what we call your attention to even editing the policy to reduce retention. That's also blocked. What is only allowed is stopping protection, but retain data. The backup data is not deleted. Allowed. Increase retention, right? Allowed. But any other operation is blocked. So this is the immutability, wall, that setting that we have recently introduced in Ignite.
Nice. And you just to repeat, you said increase retention is possible. So, but for example, if I would have a ransomware that tries to decrease retention and then delete it or something like that, that would not be possible. So cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some specific actions, direct actions, which are stop, protection, and delete, which are explicit and could be protected. But this changing retention is a hidden, subtle way of changing, of removing backups. We are blocking that too.
Cool.
So these are two new features which we have released in the context of protection against ransomware. And when you combine them with what we already have, I think this slide gives you a security overview. So, okay, I think I just want to call out some attention to a few keywords that are used in our backup environment. In traditional enterprises, the traditional backup environments, we have used this word called air gap, which means there is a separation between the source and the backup, right? To protect backup data against. So there is no network connections, there is data isolation, and it is being offline. I think in the cloud environment, however, we have to think a little bit ahead and differently, because one of the things that is a consequence of traditional air gap is you take huge time to restore that backups, right? But it's not permissible in cloud. So what we are changing is we are changing that to secure network. It still allows you to access it, but in a secure way. But it also means you can retrieve it as with a certain expectation, with access tiers. But it also gives you data isolation because we are managed storage. We are online. We're not offline. We're online for you to do additional operations on top of it, right? So this is the modern air gap that we want to talk about. And you can see the list of combination of all security operations: MFA, MUA, RBAC, private endpoints for secure networks, alerts whenever you want somebody does an operation that you don't want to happen, alerts. So in a sense, SOP delete enabled by default. So we are coming up with this methodology where if it's a production vault, we encourage you to have these settings on. If it's a dev vault, there is a flexibility to change few of them, right? But think of that. Think of the scenario, and then choose your security features accordingly. This is our positioning with regard to security.
Exactly, and I think, obviously, accessing this data is a little more complicated, enforcing MFA, but that's exactly the goal, right? We want to make access to this more complicated or more secure, actually, so that malicious clients or whatever
can't do it.
Cannot. Exactly,
So there's a balance between flexibility and protection. When you're tending towards more security, you have to give up on ease of use and flexibility, and the other way around. So pick up the right setting accordingly. These are all the features that will help you do it. Right? So this is our positioning with regards to security. So with this, I think I will go ahead and start talking about an overall view of what did we release recently. So this is a summary. We released in terms of VM backups. I just want to cover VM backups, which is one of the key workloads. We released cross-subscription restore in preview. We have multiple backups per day. The archive tier and the intelligent tiering, both are GA for VM, SQL, and HANA. Okay. In terms of databases, I just want to highlight a few things that we released recently. We started supporting SSL enforce in terms of more security. HANA has SSL enforce parameter, which means the communication within the HANA services is also SSL enforced. We support it. We are also supporting, I remember the backup user that we talked about in HSR and then the earlier pre-station script context, where it is user designed to connect to HANA back database and enforce and execute commands. That can also be an AD user, not just a local user, right? So which means you could use some user management with AD, right? That gives you a better control. One thing that we also released is partial restore as files. And the scenario is this. Imagine you have a backup policy of weekly fulls and daily differentials or daily incrementals, right? I restored to, say, day before yesterday. But then I want to do another restore to yesterday or today. The actual requirement is I just need the difference, right? I just need the additional files, 1 day's differential, and probably the logs from that point. In restore as files, earlier we didn't have that way to differentiate. It was always a dump of the entire chain together. But now we have released the capability where you can say exclude my fulls.
Okay.
I don't want fulls. In the chain, I just don't want fulls. I already have it. Just give me differentials and logs. You get that. That helps you in optimizing for restore speeds and restores. What we also released is custom retention for ad hoc backups. Earlier, it was not possible. If you want to back up now, it was set with policy. Sorry, it was a fixed 45 days retention. Now we are offering you 45 days and more. So the scenario is if you want to do long-term retention where you don't know that a future backup is going to be long-term retained, but I want the backup now to be long-term retained, you could do that. Go to portal or any management interface, PowerShell CLI, just click backup now and then give a retain until parameter to it, which is more than 1 year, whatever it is, right? But we don't allow shorter retention times. This is not for patching scenarios. The reason being that the full backups, unlike SQL in HANA, don't have copy only full, which means I can't delete the full before deleting the logs. The logs will always be generated for 15 days. So I have to keep the full for at least the log retention point in time. So that's why we mandated it 45 days and above. Quickly going through, we just talked about public preview of both features. I want to call out one thing that we also noticed this. There is a huge ask on cross-subscription restore for databases as well. The usual scenarios, there is a prod subscription, there is a dev subscription, I need copy between that. So we have launched a private preview of it, of the same. Customers can ask us to sign up to the private preview and then do this cross-subscription restore and let us know. So this is one key feature that we have just released. In terms of, again, just an outline of what we did over and above databases, just talked about VMs and databases. Again, just want to highlight zonal redundancy for what is now GA. It was earlier a preview, now in GA. Multi-user authentication, GA. Vault level immutability, we just talked about it. It's in preview. Enhanced soft deletes in preview. And then at the end, we have so many things that we are doing with a backup center. I just want to outline Azure Monitor integration, Azure policy integration, ARG, audit using Azure Backup reports, metrics. Okay, I just leave you to read the slide and take a look at what do you offer for a backup center. There are a lot many that we just released. I think I just want to end with things that is the roadmap section, right? Just if you can allow me, just go to what are the database specific milestones I want to highlight. MCOS. I have multiple HANA systems on my machine. Today it's not supported. When are you supporting it? We are planning to preview that soon in early January next year. One highlight which I want to take is earlier we had this, let me showcase my screen. One of the things that we were often getting complaints about is our experience when you're talking about cleaning the HANA catalogs or you are trying to dump the backups to local file system, not backend, but the local file system. So in these two scenarios, our essential recommendation was switch off backend. The reason is that these two scenarios also give catalog backup to backend, and then we didn't know what to do with it because these two are outside of Azure HANA Backup triggered scenarios. Now we are dumping it locally to a predetermined location, which means the difference is customers need not switch off backend. They can just execute this and immediately they will be successful. So this documentation is not changed yet because we're yet to release. I just want to refer to an earlier experience, tell you the pain point, and then this will be removed.
Cool.
So can just reuse we have a HANA system cleanup command, catalog cleanup command from HANA, right? Use that and it will be done automatically, right? So going back to sorry, I think it's still on the browser, right? Okay, let me quickly go through navigate through the slide. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
A quick refresher of the slides that we just saw.
What we talked about: cost optimization, security, ransomware, workload protection. What's new? And then in the roadmap, we started with MCOS, and then what are the improvements that we're doing in terms of pain points in catalog cleanup and local file system dump. So again, I think we are always working on enhancing the performance of the streaming backup and restore. One thing which I want to call out, private endpoints. People want it for secure network transfer, but there was an issue with using cross-regional restore with private endpoints.
Okay.
We are fixing that now, which means now you can use both of them in combination happily, right? You could enable CRR for your DR scenarios. Not exactly DR scenario because there is a lag in replication, but it allows you that in a regional failure, your CRR allows allows you to access the data which is already replicated to secondary region. And earlier, if you had private endpoint, you were not able to use that. Now we are fixing that. We'll release that soon. Again, one more improvement I want to call out in terms of private endpoint. Earlier, we had a lot of private endpoints to be enabled on the vault to use it. Azure Backup Service required a lot of private endpoints, and this was even costly for customers. Costly and not easy to manage. Now, with the new improvements, we are drastically cutting down the number of private endpoints required to manage, to enable private endpoint support on the vault. So that's one big improvement that we are doing there. That will make it easy, that will be cost effective and easy to manage for customers. And then we're also working on integration with SAP and Azure Solution Center. If you might have heard about it, there is one single solution center for SAP on Azure. We are also working to be part of it in the flow so that you are backing up then and there. All what you have seen in terms of Azure Backup, all the benefits you get then and there and don't have to go outside.
That's really cool.
Backups.
Yeah, we had recently Aaron Stern also on the show who introduced us to the Azure Center for SAP Solutions, really becoming this one single place. And it's great to see Azure Backup also being integrated there, obviously.
Yeah. And then basically whatever you talked about public preview, the aim is to go to GA as quickly as possible. So this is in the near term, right? January to March, right? Now, beyond that, I think I just want to call out a few things which are there, which is we have heard, two things, especially regarding cross-regional restore. One, it takes some time to replicate the secondary region today. Can you please reduce that time, right? Because that will enable me to think about alternatives to costly DR solutions. So we are working on reducing the RPO of today, which is around 12 hours to 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours, which means the data will be available in the secondary region after 4 hours once it lands in the primary region. So if your RPO of the secondary region is within that limits, you could think about reusing just CRR for your DR regional failure scenarios and save on costs in terms of an actual DR solution, right? That was one. The other was, I think, today you only allowed to replicate to a paired region. I want to select my DR region, right? We are working on it. It's long term, but we have listened to the feedback and we are working on that. And I think in the context, the same, I think all in terms of cost optimization, one more thing that is coming up is, hey, you already talked about how to select the right storage redundancy at the beginning, right? Guess what? My mistake, I forgot. I've started to back up in a GRS vault, but I don't want it now anymore, right? Is there a way that I can switch it off or do something about it?
Cool.
So what we are doing, we cannot switch it off right now, but what we're able to do is, okay, but you can now select backup items of a certain vault, which is GRS, to move to a vault that is in, say, LRS or ZRS, right? So that we are working on, and we're trying to enable preview by early, say, April, May next year.
Cool.
That should give you much more control over cost optimization. And so with all these features combined, we're trying to bridge the gap between, say, support for MCOS, etc., improvement in terms of experience, enhancements in restore and backup performance, security, private endpoints, and then in general, working on backup as one of the better solutions, which is useful even in DR scenarios, right? And cost optimized, secure, simple solution as well. So this is what I have. I think, Olga, I exceeded my time, but this is what I have.
That's perfect. I love the roadmap. I can clearly see that you're not running out of ideas, and I think there's always customer feedback coming in. So the roadmap will probably never end, but it's really fantastic to see all the work. Again, if I look at before we had our recording today, I took a look at the previous session that we had last year, and it's just amazing of all the things that happened in the meantime. So all the things that the constant innovations that are happening in the Azure Backup area. So it's really, really great to see, and I think it's also nice to see that the customer adoption is really growing on this, so that we really have lots of customers that are just using the Azure Backup functionality instead of having some other solutions that they need to maintain and manage by themselves, to just leverage here something that is out of the box available.
So they want backup as a service, right? That now is dealing with scenarios that are not usually or are more prominent in the cloud world, right? Backup storage management, security, flexible ways to optimize your cost and persona. So we are getting constant feedback and thankful for that. And I think I want to use this forum to say, hey, please give more feedback so that we are attuned to your requirements and do a lot more and offer you backup as a service where you're just setting up and forgetting it and concentrating on your core requirements and just leaving the backup and DR to us.
Perfect. I think these are great closing words for this episode. Kartik, thank you so much for joining. Thank you very much for all the comprehensive update there. I really do hope that we'll get additional feedback and additional comments from customers on these solutions. And yeah, I'm sure I'll see you again next year sometimes with another update on what's new with the Azure Backup for SAP.
Many thanks, Olaf, for letting me on this show. And yeah, good to be. I will definitely come back with much more set of things and keep this exciting, keep this going on.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye, everyone.